guys, it's Ashley, and today I have a lot of books to share with you because today we're going to be doing another book haul. I have spent so much money on books recently. It's a lot of money. Let's not talk about that. What we will talk about though is which books that I bought because I'm really excited to share them with you and talk about how excited I am to read some of these. But first, before we get into any of that, I have 5 awesome, really exciting titles to share with you guys because today's sponsor, I'm so excited to announce, is Book of the Month. So if you aren't already familiar with them, Book of the Month is a super popular online book subscription service for readers just like us. Their mission is to promote new and emerging authors and to help readers discover new books to love. So each month their team vets hundreds of books and then gives their readers a curated selection of brand new and early release titles from various genres and authors so that you can spend more time reading and less time researching. My personal favorite thing about Book of the Month is that it's risk-free, which means that if you can't find a title that interests you, you can skip any month at any time and not get charged. Plus, they have the best price for new release hardcover fiction, which if we're being honest, is normally like $30. But you can actually get your first book for just $9.99 with the code MAYREADS. So I'll have a link to the website as well as the code that you can use in the description below, but let's go ahead and get into the 5 titles they have to choose from in May because honestly, some of them sound so good. So first up, we have Things We Lost to the Water by Eric Wen, which is a historical fiction debut novel about an immigrant Vietnamese family who moves to New Orleans and then struggles to remain connected to one another as their lives are inextricably reshaped. In the number 2 spot, we have How Lucky by Will Leitch, a suspenseful and funny contemporary fiction novel that's great for readers who enjoyed the curious incident of the dog in the nighttime. It's about a resilient young man living with a physical disability who is the sole witness to a crime that unfolds right outside his door. So coming in at number 3 is The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave, a gripping mystery thriller about a new wife and stepmother who must unravel her husband's past after he vanishes and leaves nothing behind but a note. Number 4 is Imposter Syndrome by Kathy Wang, a contemporary fiction novel about women in the workplace, the power of big tech, and the rarely fulfilled but ever attractive promise of the American dream. It's basically like a piercing take on Silicon Valley and then the misogyny that keeps it ticking. And finally, coming in at number 5 is Ariadne by Jennifer Saint, a debut fantasy following the reimagined story of the Princess of Crete that puts the forgotten women of Greek mythology back at the heart of the story as they strive for a better world. This is the one that I would choose because let's be real, I'm a sucker for anything Greek mythology. So those are the 5 books that you can choose from this month for Book of the Month, and remember I do have a link and the code in the description down below, so head down there to check it out. And thank you so much to Book of the Month for sponsoring today's video and supporting me and my work. Alright, so now let's get on to the book haul and all of the books that I managed to accumulate this month. Let's do this. First up is one that I'm actually really excited about, and I honestly would have already read at this point in time, but for some reason I wanted to haul it first and tell you guys about it before I read it, so here we go. But that book that I'm talking about is On a Sunbeam by Tilly Walden, which I have not heard anybody talk about on BookTube, I don't think, in the entire time that I have been on BookTube. I'm sure that somebody somewhere has talked about it, but I just have not seen it. And I actually picked up this book because my sister said that her friend really enjoyed it and said that it was really good, so that's why I grabbed it. First of all, this is a graphic novel, so graphic novel. But secondly, it's so big. This book is so heavy, it's not even funny. I was not expecting it to be this large when I bought it, but I'm really excited because that just means there's more story to read. And I, to be honest, did not know what this was going into it. I clearly bought it off of the recommendation of somebody else, but I have a feeling that I'm really going to enjoy it because A, it's supposed to be set in space, so it's like a sci-fi story, and B, I want to read you this little snippet on the back of the book because it explains what this story is about perfectly, like way better than I could ever put together. On a Sunbeam is a slow burn romance and a found family space opera adventure with an engaging cast of characters in a gloriously strange setting that is brilliantly original. Like, if that is not enough to get you to want to pick up this book, I don't know what will be. It sounds so good just based off of that little tiny snippet from a different author. Like, I can't even wrap my head around it. It's a slow burn romance and a found family space opera adventure. Like, what could be better than that? Plus the colors that they chose in this book and the artwork itself just looks so pretty. Sorry, it's like I'm really bad at doing this. Next up is a book that a publisher sent to me, and that is Take Me Home Tonight by Morgan Matson. If you've been with me on my channel for a while, you might know that I have read most of Morgan Matson's books. I've read everything except for her first 2 books, I think. I'm a really big fan of her work. Her work is always super fun and like very summer romancy and that kind of thing, but this one is a bit different from what she's written in the past. It's about 2 best friends who sneak away to spend a night in New York City. Apparently it's kind of like a wild night for them, and they apparently get a wake-up call about their friendship, their choices, and will finally discover what they really want for their futures. So it still sounds like that sort of coming-of-age contemporary story that she's really good at creating, but there doesn't seem to be any romance involved with this, which I'm really excited about. Sometimes a nice like best friend story or a nice coming-of-age story is good too. This is an ARC. It is going to come out on May 4th, which means it'll probably be out by the time this video goes up, so there's that. Then we have another book that I bought this month with my own personal money because I can't stop, and that is Bridge of Souls. I keep getting this name wrong. First I said Tunnel of Bones, and then I was about to say City of Ghosts. Bridge of Souls by Victoria Schwab, which is the third book in her middle grade City of Ghosts series about Cassidy Blake, who is a girl who can see ghosts, and her parents, who are ghost hunter TV show enthusiasts kind of thing, and she goes around to all of the most haunted cities in the world and does a lot of things there. I don't want to get too much into the story because it does kind of spoil a bit about what happens, but this is the third and final book. I'm really excited to read this and to wrap up Cassidy Blake's journey, and I probably won't get to this until closer to around fall, like October-ish, because that's just the kind of vibe that you get from this sort of spooky middle grade story. But regardless, I'm glad that I have it now, that way I can just get to it whenever I want. So next up I have a novella that I've been hearing a lot about on BookTube recently, so I decided just on a whim to go and pick it up because it sounded like something that I would enjoy, and it is called This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El-Motar and Max Gladstone. I just want to read you this review from Booklist because, again, this kind of just summarizes why you should pick this up. A twisting, sapphic, time travel fantasy love story that never stops surprising. I'm sorry, what? Just by that alone, this sounds so good, so I'm so excited to read it. From what I understand about this story, I thought that it was a sci-fi, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's like this war going on between these two rival agencies, and there is, you know, two people who are communicating. It says time travel, so are they in different times or something? The code names that they use are red and blue, and through this war and through these letters that they send one another, I think, if that's what it's even about, they begin to fall in love across the barrier of time and war and struggle and all of that, and I just think that it sounds so freaking good. Like, I can't even explain. There's literally a blurb from V.E. Schwab on the back that just says, holy shit, this was good. So I'm totally in. This is not going to take me very long to read, clearly because it's a novella and it's really tiny, but I picked it up because I've been hearing so many good things about it, and like I already said, it sounds fantastic, so I'm just really excited to read it and let you guys know what I think. I think I might pick this up in May this month. I don't know. We'll find out. So next up, I have a book that was gifted to me by HMH Teen, and that is The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. So this is a story about a girl named Kiva who has been working as a prison healer in this notorious death prison for 10 years. And one day, this rebel queen gets captured and gets sent to this prison to go and face this trial of ordeals or something like that for the crimes that she's committed, and Kiva is assigned with keeping the woman alive because she is apparently terminally ill and supposed to die. But one day, Kiva gets this letter from her family that says, you know, keep her alive, we're coming, and Kiva decides to enter into the trials for the queen in order to keep her alive and to try to figure out what's going on. And apparently there's like this plague that's sweeping across the country or something, and a lot of other things that are happening, but overall, I just gotta say, I don't think I've ever read a book where most of the story takes place in a prison. So I think that sounds interesting and something that I would potentially be interested in reading soon. Next up, I have a book that you guys have been recommending to me for ages, and that is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I don't know how many times that I've had you guys recommend this book to me in the comments or on Instagram or anything. Like, it's crazy how popular this series is, so I'm really glad that I finally have my hands on it. I don't really know anything about this book other than that it's a fantasy, and apparently it has a lot of content warnings because a lot of very like dark, serious things happen in this story, and there's a lot of topics that it covers that might be potentially triggering to people, so just keep that in mind. I honestly don't know what it involves. I probably will. Obviously I will, more so when I read it, but for now, I'm just gonna go into it with an open mind and see what happens. Like I said, it's been really, really, really popular over the past few years. So many people have been in love with this story and this series, and so many of you guys have recommended it to me, so I'm really excited to finally get into it and read it and see what all the hype is about. And so the last two books that I have on this list are both sort of like contemporary YA, like romance coming of age stories in a way that I think go well together as the last two books on this list. And they were both given to me by Simon Teen. So first up, we have an arc of The Lucky List by Rachel Lippincott. This book actually doesn't come out until June 1st, so you've got a couple of weeks to wait for it. This is basically a story about a girl named Emily who loses her mom to cancer, and a lot of other horrible things happen in her life, so she's kind of just like down on her luck and nothing's really going her way. Her dad decides that it's time to finally give away a lot of her mom's things and to go through them, and so she finds her mom's lucky list, which is kind of like a bucket list, and she enlists the help of her father's best friend's daughter to go through the list and to feel a connection to her mom again. But then she also ends up feeling a connection to Blake, which, like, who would have thought? I will admit though that every time I keep reading the synopsis of this story, I always think that Blake is a guy, but Blake is actually a girl. So I'm really excited to read this and add this to my list. Like I said, it starts off kind of like dark and, you know, grieving and like her mother's died and things like that. But I think by the end it ends up becoming a very like nice coming of age sort of romance story, and I'm really excited to read it this summer. And then the last book that I have to share with you is one that I've been seeing a lot everywhere recently, and that is The Sky Blues by Robbie Couch. So the story is about a boy named Sky who is openly gay in his small town and decides he's going to make a splash at the upcoming party and ask his crush Ali to prom. And he's gonna do it in the biggest, brightest, most gayest promposal that Rockledge, Michigan has ever seen. But then his plans get blasted on the internet in this deeply homophobic way, and his friends decide to help him turn his 30-day promposal plan into a plan to uncover the identity of who did this. This is giving me major Felix Ever After vibes if you've read that story or heard me talk about it, because the plot is like very similar to that. So I'm really excited to add this to my TBR this month, or at least this summer, because I really loved Felix Ever After, and I have a feeling that I'm gonna really like this too. So really excited for all of the cute like rom-com, romance, coming of age, YA contemporary stories that I get to read this summer, because I feel like there's gonna be a lot of them. They're all really cute and I'm really excited. So those are all the books that I've gotten recently. I'm really excited to read a lot of them. Like I said, a lot of them have been on my list for quite a while, and some of them are brand new and just sound really interesting to me. Do you guys have any books that are coming out soon that you're really looking forward to? Definitely let me know in the comments, because I'm really excited about so many things and I want to be excited about them with you. And thank you once again to Book of the Month for sponsoring today's video and for supporting me and my work. Remember, you guys can check out the link in the description down below, as well as the coupon code that's down there to get your first book of the month for $9.99. But other than all of that, I think that's going to be it for this video, you guys. So if you want to follow me on any of my socials, all my handles are in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you later. Bye!